Hello everybody. You can see we're here at the command central of the audio video work we do at the Unity Church. There's a lot of activity going on now. We're getting ready for the upcoming virtual open mic night. That's going to be streamed out on the evening of Thursday, May the 21st at 7 o'clock. We'll provide a link on our website somehow, or maybe we'll send it to you in an email, but just look out for that. But in the meantime, I hope all of those that want to participate in there will record themselves and send us your best performances or send us your worst performances, whatever you'd like. We're looking forward to seeing those. It's going to have a whole lot of fun. I think we're going to stream all those at the same time, and we'll be able to chat later on for how that goes. So looking forward to seeing those, and I hope you'll participate, and I'll certainly hope you'll watch the stream at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. on Thursday, May the 21st. Thanks.
Good morning. I behold the Christ in you. I behold divinity in you this morning.
Thank you. Yes.
Feel the love. Feel the heart energy, for this is what the church is all about. I've been here 8 years, and I would tell you, if you probably agree with me, that we are the church of the heart, which is beyond the mind, beyond the earthly experience. There's a dimension in us that is timeless, is powerful, is all intelligence. And you're probably wondering, why am I opening today's service with that? And I'm sure that Neusom has the answer.
Well, I have the answer, but I think you have the talk at the rate you're going. So maybe I should just step aside. But we're talking about the heart today. Last week we invited you to go online and to connect with HeartMath, a company that has been studying the heart for about 30 years. And if you will do that after this service, then they have a whole series that they can take you through. We're going to be continuing these talks for 3 weeks around the heart and the experience of learning to deepen in the heart. When your heart begins to open, when you begin to feel the depth of who you really are, from the heart exactly, things begin to lighten up. It begins to be a more beautiful, colorful world. And so I invite you over the course of this Sunday service and the next 3 weeks to deepen, to open, and to express love. That's our purpose here.
Interesting, Neusom, that we sort of like started with like a dark feeling, and the more we went into the energy of the heart, we came to heaven. Do you feel it?
Kinda.
Well, let's experience heaven together today by listening to this song and by being fully present to the energy of who we are through our hearts.
I think I feel it now.
Okay.
This heart is mine. Its love is ours. May their light shine and reach the stars. Though peace is pure and real, so pain is true. We must endure to feel. What else can we do? I've no desire for what this fighting is for. We can't fight fire with fire, nor war with war. The antidote to terror lies in peace. Only love can cure this world's disease. This heart is mine, its love is ours. May their light shine and reach the stars. Though peace is pure and real, so pain is true. We must endure to feel. What else can we do? I've no desire for what this fighting is for. We can't fight fire with fire, nor war with war. The antidote to terror lies in peace. Only love can cure this world's disease. Only
something that the heart can do. It has the capacity of loving for love's sake, of loving for no reason. We'd like to share some words from this book, Power of the Heart, something we did years ago as a book study. And there's a quote here by Marcy Smith-Moff that you might find very relevant to this idea of just loving for love's sake. The ultimate state of love is what I call love for no reason. Love for no reason is an inner state of love that doesn't depend on a person or a situation or a specific romantic partner. When we feel that love, instead of looking outside ourselves to try to extract love from our circumstances, we bring love to our circumstances. When you're in a state of love for no reason, you feel freedom, you feel expansion, you feel peace, you feel joy. You love just because you don't need a reason to love. So open your heart and let that love that you are be. Love you.
Let's begin with a meditation. In this meditation, we'd like to focus on the heart. So you can have your eyes open or closed, but what we'll be focusing on is this part of the body where the heart is, and I would like you to start by breathing into that space. So we have a nice, deep but not too excessive breath, and the breath comes into this part of the body. You feel it expand, and then when you exhale, feel it shrink back down. And let this become the focus of the meditation for a moment. Settle in, let your body relax, let your mind relax, but let there be a focus to the attention, be it focused on the center of the heart. Here, let it breathe. This is the core of who you are. Let yourself breathe into this space. And if possible, take some of the energy from your head and bring it down into your heart. We are here to deepen into the experience of love, compassion, and oneness. So bring it down into the heart. Now in a moment I'll start talking, doing the normal Sunday dialogue, conversation. Just bring yourself here repeatedly. No matter what I'm talking about, let this be the place where you're feeling from, that you're listening from, that this is the core of your experience. This is the home base for you. So let the breath be here. Let the attention be here. And now I'll begin this conversation about the heart. As many of you know, I spent years meditating on the heart as my spiritual practice. It largely came about because I realized I was so far removed from my heart. My heart had kind of crusted over. And so I spent a long time, years actually, with this same practice that I just was talking about, where you bring your attention here to the heart and you breathe into it and you allow it to expand. Sometimes I would touch it and keep my hand here just so that the attention would not wander. And also there's something about the beauty of touch. So as you touch a particular part of your body, you begin to essentially activate it. And so I was trying to activate my heart. And in so doing, over the years, I became more comfortable being in my heart than I had before. One of the oddball things, probably the reason I had closed my heart, was that there was a degree of grief that I had to penetrate every time I would really get into meditation, there would be the first part would be kind of soft, but then there would be a layer of grief, and then if I kept at it long enough, I'd get through the grief down into a deeper place. That grief took about 10 years to wear off. And it wasn't terrible, the grief. It was largely grief about abandoning myself or feeling a sense of loss. And so it was in some ways reconnecting with myself as I went through the grief. When you're exploring the heart, you may have some emotions that are like that bring tears to you, or feel in some way you are reconnecting at a deeper level, and in doing it, it may even feel uncomfortable, but it won't last. It won't last if you keep going through it all the way into the core of who you are, into this deeper heart that is in there. So my invitation as you do this process of deepening into the heart is stick with it. Stay with it, and what you will find is that there is an expansion into of your tender, open self. Something I've noticed is that I think most of our world, most of commerce, most of academia, most of conversation, most movies even, play a lot to the mind. Some of them almost exclusively to the mind. And so in many ways we feel like we're moving around, and this is who we are. We almost feel as though, since most of our senses are in our head, our eyes and smell, and our mouth is in our head, we have the hearing here, even taste is in the head. We almost feel like this is what life is. But there's great wisdom in realizing that there's more than just what's above the chin. The core of who you are, the depth of who you are, actually resides farther down in the body, but also in a more open, tender space, this thing called the heart. And so when you spend time with the heart, you begin to realize that you are not so much here, devoid of connection with the world, but you are now beginning to branch out and to begin to feel the world around you. The world around you becomes enveloping and holding space rather than an alien space for us. It becomes our home again, because we're not heads, we're the totality of who we are. And so this heart space, this place that we sometimes have to practice for a decade just to feel at home in, this heart space is really the core of who we are. So when we're doing this next 3 weeks of paying attention to our hearts, we're really paying attention to who we really are, to the depths of who we are. Now, there's a company, HeartMath, that's been in California, who've been studying the heart for a long time, and they have some very interesting findings. One of which is that the heart's energy, the amount of electrical magnetic energy that comes off the heart, is so much bigger than what comes off your head. So what's in your heart is what people feel more than what you're thinking. You're actually communicating with the world around you more with your heart than with your head, because the field that you project from your heart is greater than the field that you project from your head. Now, it's not to say that the heart and the head are not connected. So obviously, if you're holding angry thoughts, if you're thinking ill will of something or someone, your heart will begin to shift. It will change. And that's why we do a lot of talk about changing your attitude and moving from a different place of condemnation to forgiveness. In many ways, that starts with the head, but if it's really going to be effective, it gets all the way down into the heart. The heart begins to love again. And I have seen in my own life and in the life of others that when the heart begins to open, some magic can happen. First of all, relationships can shift just because you've opened your heart. This is really amazing. That really, truly, what people are coming together for is this heart connection. And yet we might have an argument with someone. It might be even someone we are married to. It might be a conversation that we carry on in our heads and then we actually sometimes say out loud, which can be so harsh and so critical that it keeps the other person at bay. And really what you want and they want is this connection of the heart, this coming back together. So in so many times when we're in conversation with another, if we can move down out of the head and into the body, into the heart, let the heart begin to lead the conversation. Perhaps you're not as schooled at this as you are at conversation, but this skill, if it's taken to heart, will bring you another chance of being with someone. Being with someone in such a way that they feel as though they get you, because they do. Now they are with you and your heart is open. So this brings us to the place where we can then have a conversation that will sound, actually if you listen for it, it will sound differently. The voice structure will be different. There'll be a more resonance in the voice. It will not be so edged or perhaps not even as high a pitched. It will come down as the energy comes down into the heart and leaves the head. It will come down into a state of kindness and love. This is really why we're in relationship anyway. Whomever we're in, we're wanting to have that experience of love and acceptance. That's just the nature of who we are. We crave this. We long for it. Everybody you meet on the street or in your house or even closer, everyone you meet, that's what we long for. And yet the mind can come up with 1,000 reasons why it's not good enough, or it needs to be defended against, or it needs to be corrected, or something. Let it go. Let us move into our hearts. So as we started this conversation with a focus on the heart, breathing into the heart, let's continue that throughout this whole thing. Breathe into the heart. Feel into your heart, even as I'm talking now. Breathe into the heart and let that be the focus of it. And realize that your heart's energy is about 100,000 times bigger than your brain anyway. So let's put our money where it matters. It's been my experience when the heart is activated that money itself tends to be more abundant anyway. I'm not sure what it is about the heart, but it seems to be able to broadcast out your ambitions, your hopes, your dreams better than your head can. Better than just simply saying something. When you feel it out into the world, when you emote it through your heart, it begins to be better received, I think, by the world out there. This dialogue that happens between the being and the environment is enhanced by your ability to come to the heart. You set an intention and put it out there, and if it can come through the heart, then the intention has a much bigger chance of becoming manifest, because we're really energetic beings and not just thinking beings. So definitely, as a man thinketh, so is his world, but as you emote, so it becomes. So I invite you to think of this heart as a power pack that can press out your intentions into the world. And if they're coming through the heart, then they're not going to be intentions that could be harmful to others, but it would be something of mutual benefit. And in so doing, you reinforce the whole nature of reality, that we live in a cooperative universe that listens to us and responds to where we are, not so much by what we say, but how we feel. So developing a loving, open, powerful heart is part of the practice of creating the world you wish to see around you. This practice of coming from the heart is one of not only changing how you feel inside, but how the world responds to you. Walk into a crowd, if you want an experiment, walk into a crowd with your heart shut down. Just see how you're responded to. Try it again, same crowd even. Come in with your heart open and see what happens. So I invite you to try this for that very experience. Now, some things tend, in the daily activity we do, tend to make it easier to have your heart open or make it more difficult. One of the worst, of course, is to be unforgiving. But one of the best is to live in a state of gratitude, to have your mind looking for reasons to be grateful, to appreciate the world you see around you and to be grateful for what you see. This practice, using the mind as the lead even, of being grateful, begins to open the heart because it recognizes it is a safe and beautiful world when we do that. When we practice gratitude and appreciation, we set the conditions for the world that we see to be beautiful. And being beautiful, the heart responds quickly. It begins to recognize it's kind out there. It begins to see that this beautiful heart of ours is not alone in a world and needs not be protected. It can expand and open out. So doing gratitude on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, if you can remember it, is a powerful way of getting the heart to open or to stay open. A second thing that you can do, this is a practice we can actually make a decision to do, and that is acts of kindness. Perhaps they're random, perhaps you don't know the person or the person doesn't know you, and you're doing something as simple as paying for the person behind you at the takeout. Or it could be a bigger financial investment where you're contributing money to a worthy organization, or you're calling up your mother or your grandmother and saying, "How are you doing today?" Perhaps it's a simple thing as delivering the mail to the house next door to you so they don't have to come down to the mailbox. Perhaps it's a big thing by letting somebody in on a crowded street. Or it could be just a kindness to somebody in your household. But we do something for others. We begin to take the emphasis off ourselves and place it on someone else. And so in so doing, we begin to extend ourselves out. And it seems as though once we extend ourselves out through a physical action, the heart has a pathway to follow. And if you were not feeling love so much prior to doing that, you begin to set the conditions in which it's easier for you to feel love because you've now expressed it in some way. Our ability to express love, I think, is one of the great joys of life. It turns out that almost every song that we hear on the radio, every romantic comedy we watch on the screen is really reflecting this deep and persistent need to touch someone and to be touched. And this happens at the heart level. Many times we are finding ourselves these days in a more isolated state where we are not actually in a place where we can go and touch and maybe even converse with people, but spending time alone. Even in that place, even in this isolated time of sequestering ourselves or social distancing, the heart has the ability to send love across space. I don't really think it's dependent on being in proximity exactly, but across space you can send love. So you could send love to that person across the country that you care for. You could send it to the person across the street or across the kitchen table. This is what love is about. It's an energetic broadcast. It can be focused or it can be general, but it's a broadcasting. It is sending the message out into the world that we are loving. And if you had been around people who are loving in that way, it's possible that you've caught that practice. It's become something you do already. And if you don't recognize you're doing it, then check it out. Maybe you are. And if you are, then you could know that you're a blessing as you walk down the street. Your very essence is giving something to the world. And the world is not completely ignorant of it, even though not everyone gets it right away. The world will feel this. And I dare say that you'll have a better day on the circumstances of the world or how people respond to you. You'll have a better day if the day starts with your heart being open. So one practice you can do is when you're lying in bed, just before you get up, place your hand on your heart. Lying on your back, I think, is the easiest way to do this. Place your hand on your heart, maybe two hands. And place your hands here. And let your breath be here. And then imagine someone or something you really love. And feel that in your heart. And then you begin the day as you get up. You see if you can keep that same radiance going on. See if you can keep that same sense of I am loving. Even if things aren't going well, you can come back to the breath here to this place. You come back here and you hold your heart open and you continue to broadcast love into the world. One of the outcomes I expect will be that you will be sensitive to others as they are, and you can be a better friend. You'll be sensitive to your animals, and you'll be sensitive to the plants around you. You'll be sensitive to the world. This world will become a dancer with you, a heart dancer, where you feel what's going on, and you respond in the most appropriate way because you're not caught up in the head, but you're in tune with all that's going on around you. Love is the basis of the best of human communication and the best of communing with nature. In this next week, if you can practice this, see if you don't feel that very connection deepening by keeping your heart more open. Love is more than like, more than I am fed by you. Love is a giving out. And that can be done without a specific object of its receiving. And when we are doing that, we're doing that style of love that we think God does, where God loves the whole of creation. It's the Jesus type of love, where he loved everybody, no matter whether they were sinners or saints. It's the Dalai Lama's way of including everyone, even the enemy, in his prayers. This is what love is. Perhaps you felt it with your mother. Perhaps you felt it with a friend. But this is something special that we should share on a daily basis with those close to us and those far away. Let's make this a week of loving. And if you can, tune in to the class that's put on free by HeartMath so that they can tell you more about the heart and more practices of how to open the heart. But just keeping your breath and attention on this part of the body with the intention of awakening the heart to love is sufficient to begin a feel of transformation in your own life. I trust that as we do this as a community, when we come back together, we will have a more happy, buzzy, fun way of being together. And if we do it while we're apart, it'll keep us in tune with each other. I hope you have a beautiful week. Keep your heart open and let love be your practice. Namaste.
I was just a little boy, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's never ours to see. Que sera. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my lover, what will we be? Will we be happy? Will we be rich? They told me faithfully, yes, sir. Whatever will be, will be. The future's never ours to see. Que sera, whatever will be. The future's never ours to see. Que sera. Now I have children of my own. They ask their dad, what will we be? Will we be happy? Will we be rich? And I tell them faithfully, yes, sir, whatever will be, yeah, it's gonna be, and the future not ours to see. It's gonna be the future not ours to see. Yes, sir.
Unity teaches us and prepares us how to shift our thinking and our feelings from fear and lack and to focus on more positive thinking and spiritual truths with a capital T. Most of us know how to do this. We've been in Unity for a while and we love being around like-minded people. But during this time of chaos that we're now in, positive thinking may not be that easy. I know for me is the case. I'm a calm person for the most part, and I have a strong faith. So I'm not experiencing fear particularly, but I am experiencing anxiety. I wasn't even aware of this until a friend of mine pointed this out to me as we were video chatting one day. She said, you're scratching your arms incessantly. And I realized it was anxiety. And I also been having difficulty sleeping. So I thought I was doing fine, but there are other ways that have pointed out to me that this is a trying time, and it's a trying time for all of us. They're uncertain times, and it's normal to be unsure of what's going to be happening next, or when will we resume each other's company, or when we're going to be able to get those hugs again. For I miss them, I know you all do too. So I took a sacred pause, and I got still. I asked Spirit to help me, to reveal to me coping skills and insights that might be helpful to me during this time. I realized through prayer and meditation that I was actually resisting change. All of this change has been just too much for most of us. I love my alone time, but I am not happy about being alone all the time, and I'm certainly not happy about not being around people where I can hug. So I continue returning to the stillness again and again through through prayer and meditation to reclaim my peace. Sometimes peace is difficult to do by ourselves, so I have enlisted others to help me. I pray with my seminary classmates every single day, and that helps me shift from a place of uneasiness to peace for just a few minutes until the next time, and I return again and again to prayer. So I want to let you know we are here for you. We are here to hold prayer for you. Contact us by phone or email. The numbers are on the screen. Give yourself the gift of prayer as we navigate these emotional times and uncertainty. You may ask, what can I do? How can I help others as we shelter in place? As each of us finds peace within through prayer and meditation, we lift up all of humanity. So let's take our prayers in our hearts as we hold for others in prayer, knowing that these prayers go into the prayer box. I ask you to hold this affirmative statement for yourself, for our spiritual community, and for the world. The words are on the screen. Together, I am an instrument of God's indwelling peace. As I become peaceful, peace in the world becomes a reality. Amen.
All we are is all we are, and all we are is love. All we are is all we are, and all we are is
My heart is so open, Neusom. I love that last prayer in which we were connected at the heart level, like every week. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. I know there's so much love in the air. Actually, even rainbows, right?
It's only because you're here.
Oh. Anyways, we would love to do this love offering part like in a really hard way. And recently, you wrote something so special, expressing the way we feel towards our congregation that has backed us up such a solid way. So would you love to, maybe you read something, I read something,
Okay.
and they feel the love. So keep centering that heart, open heart of yours, and just receive from us, your ministers.
Okay. Your contribution is a testament of your faith in the unfolding of divinity in your life and your fellow spiritual explorers. By giving generously to your spiritual home, you are inviting the experience of prosperity and belonging in your life. May you know both.
May there be joy in knowing that the world we occupy is not merely a material one, but spiritual, and that the blessings of this life are not only good and services, but also connection, awakening, and love.
May that which touches your soul, makes you feel whole, even holy, surround you and infuse you every moment. lifting the actions of this life to the level of the sacred, that all of life shines with the light of God.
Our hearts are so filled with gratitude for your generosity. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you for your support. Your contribution greatly matters to all of us. And together we culminate this moment.
May you be well, and may all that you love prosper.
And then we join in saying, divine love
through me
blesses and multiplies
all that I am,
all that I have,
all that I give,
and all that I receive.
And so it is.
And so we let it be.
I want to thank you for coming and being with us today. Being in our space of the heart is a gift to ourselves and others. We'll see you next week as we continue this exploration of the heart. May this be a week of peace, love, and joy.
Namaste.
Namaste.
The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.